so let's talk about my number one strongest belief when it comes to horses and horse training. And that is, it's never the horse's fault. And I believe this so strongly. I feel like it doesn't really even matter what it is or what we're talking about, no matter what the horse does, good or bad, it's never the horse's fault. And what I mean by this is, I often hear people saying things like, oh, my horse is just being difficult today, or he's been plotting how he's going to get back at me for my hard ride yesterday, or, my horse, bites out of vengeance or whatever. And what the truth is that horses don't think like that. They don't plot revenge. They don't even plan, actually, as far as we know about brain science, and of course we may learn more in the future, and I think we probably actually will. But what I do know is that horses do what they do out of instinct, out of fear, or because it's what they believe we want from them. So things like, one of my favorite examples is when somebody gets thrown off of their horse and they're told you have to get back on, otherwise your horse will learn to throw you. That's not really how horses think. They do have a really strong cause and effect link, and it is possible that if your horse throws you and you fall off, and then somehow they perceive a reward in that, either by being done for the day, or they get to go home and get their lunch right away or something like that, it is possible that the horse could then learn that behavior is somehow rewarded. However, it's highly unlikely. Most of the time, if a horse throws you, it's usually out of fear or out of pain, not because they're trying to get out of work. And if you don't get back on, most of the time horses are not going to then learn that behavior of throwing you was what caused you to not get back on, and therefore they were done for the day. So I think we tend to give horses too much credit in some ways. We tend to think that they're over there plotting and planning, when in reality they are simply trying their best to do what they can with what they have. So another example is a horse that bites because they've been given too many treats. People will often say, oh, their horse is mouthy, or they're being rude, or they're being difficult, or they're dangerous, or whatever. We like to label our horses because they bite, right? But really, what's happening is that horse probably was mouthy and then got a treat. Yes, Poppy's chiming in. That horse was being mouthy and then they got a treat. And they then learned that inadvertently biting got them a reward. They got them a treat. And so they then learned that maybe we want them to bite us. And now it's become a game where if they try to bite us, then we smack them, and then they get the treat, and then sometimes they try to bite us and they don't get the treat and they're confused, right? So what we can do then is reteach the horse the behavior that we do want. So we can teach a horse that if they stand patiently with their head straight ahead forward, we will bring the treat to them. And if they try to turn and snap and grab the treat, they don't get the treat. No treat for them in that instance. And we can repeat this over and over again, even in the sequence of just a few minutes. But what's really important is that the last behavior, which is the horse standing still and looking straight ahead, is what is then rewarded. And then over time, the horse will learn the behavior that we want them to learn. So all that to say, your horse isn't being difficult just for the sake of being difficult. They're not trying to ruin your day or ruin your ride or get out of work. They're doing what they're doing for a deeper underlying reason, like typically pain, discomfort, fear, or because it's for whatever reason what they perceive you want from them, whether or not that's true. And Poppy feels passionately about this as well. And if you can take a moment to sort of look at the bigger picture and assess why your horse might be doing these behaviors, you'll often find a reason why, and you'll be able to then retrain or redirect, and the behaviors will suddenly resolve. So if you're interested in learning more about this, definitely go check out my podcast episode on the whole scoop. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We go into this in a lot more detail. We have a full episode about how nothing is ever the horse's fault and why, and what to do if your horse is picking up behaviors that you are not loving.